A graduate of 2011 class with Hafiz, Waqas, Umar, all those class fellows. Uh, Uske baad, I came, obviously did my steps, a little bit of my journey, came here, started research at Northwestern, did a year of research, applied for radiology residency, matched, did IR fellowship. Um, Now, then first job out of was University of Tennessee, and here I'm in Memphis. So today's topic is about research, the importance of research, and how research sort of segues and plugs into the residency, and how it makes you a more competitive candidate, and what are do's and don'ts for the research. So we have a very distinguished panel, very active researchers at many different places. I'll have Hafiz introduce the panelist, and then we'll go in with our session.
All right, very good. Um, I hope you guys can hear me. We have Abdullah Altaf. I'll start with him. We met at OSU. He was a research fellow in surgical oncology, and currently he's doing a categorical surgery in Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Then we have
Awesome.
Ahmed Hussain. Ahmed Hussain, he is in Harvard doing research in IR. Mashallah, he will be applying for MATS this year.
Mashallah.
Then we have Farhan Naeem. Farhan is working in Harvard as well, Farhan. Mashallah, in IM department as a research fellow.
Yes, yes, in cardiology.
In Canada, mashallah, very good. And he'll be helping us there too. And then we have Dr. Suman Zahra. She is working in trauma surgery research in University of Arizona, which has a very good track record for helping KEMCAANians to match into surgery and vascular surgery later on. So she'll be helping us today as well. And then we have Osama Kamar. Osama is a resident now, right, Osama?
Yes, I'm a first year resident at SUNY
Mashallah.
Upstate.
But he did his research fellowship in Mayo Clinic, Rochester. And then last but not the least, Dr. Waqas Hanif,
Legendary.
very famous cardiologist in interventional cardiologist in New York. He did his research fellowship at Montefiore. I think he will bring a different perspective because he did kind of lab research. He's still publishing a lot in the field of cardiology with high citation rates, but he's in clinical assistant professor now in Montefiore, New York. All right. So we do have, Furkan, I will leave it to you. You can ask questions from Abdullah and go onwards.
Oh, I think, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll start with Abdullah and then we'll go in circles. And basically, the questions would be similar. एक ही question होगा उसमें we'll need a brief answer from everyone. So let's start with you, Abdullah. Why do you think, or what is your experience के research fellowship? Why is it important? इसका क्या फायदा है? जो सुन रहे हैं हमें हमारे जो young medical students हैं या जो recent graduates हैं वो क्यों research करें?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here, first of all. And sabko salam. So, I guess research fellowship में जो मैंने so मेरा med school में sort of decision था कि I want to do like surgery. So I mean like mostly like people do research fellowship who are like IMGs if they want to match into like competitive fellowships like surgery, IR, or like neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery, urology. So I think that is like the main thing people or IMGs usually do like a research fellowship. Then I mean research fellowship is also great if you want to like if you have any red flags in your CV like long low step scores or like uh, आपका year of graduation old or any other like typical what like programs consider red flags. So to make up for that, being in the US for a year or so, and working with like someone in the US, like working closely with them because research like essentially provides you an opportunity to be in the US and then work closely with a mentor who can like vouch for you when it's the time for match. So that is one thing. Then uh, again, if you're like really passionate and you want to go into like a competitive program like a university hospital program, then doing a research fellowship can really help. People like I know someone like from KEMCAANA Yale, so I mean like and I am so like research fellowship again like it helps you with that. And then I mean and like last, if you like research, you want to like go into academics. So I think it's like a very good experience. Like if you like research, you want to go into like academia, like work at a university hospital. So you can do like a research fellowship after your med school, and then then go into residency. So I guess that's pretty much it. Like, and I guess for me, like it was really crucial, like in my like match ke puri journey mein, like my all the like the whole 2 years of research like really helped me a lot, like and like played a big role in me matching like categorical. So yeah,
I
I
think
guess
in interest of time, very good, Abdullah. I think you summarized most of the points. हम ये कर सकते हैं कि then I'll go to every panelist and see if they have anything to add. Otherwise, we'll go to the item number 2 because I think we should keep, considering the number of participants, we can keep the question answer session, give more time to that.
Absolutely.
Everyone agrees? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone, Ahmed, Suman, guys, anyone कोई add
I would
करना
just
चाहता है
like to
इसमें?
add, I would just like to add one more thing. If you are doing a research fellowship before you start off your residency, that not only helps you get into a residency program, but if you have aspirations for further fellowships in such specialty, it makes a big plus on your CV. So let's
100%.
suppose if you're interested in cardiology and your research is in cardiac imaging for at least 1 or 2 years before your residency, you're going to be a very strong candidate wherever you apply for a fellowship. So just keep that in mind. It's not just for medicine, it's for the subspecialties.
100%. I think I agree. It also reaffirms that your interest in the field is genuine and that you're willing to put your time um, uh, and energies. So extra year or two, I think it goes a long way. Anyone else कोई ऐड करना चाहता?
I would like to add few things.
Sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
go on, Ahmed.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so the few things that I would like to add, first, research, it really helps you to improve your communication skills. Like when many students, they go for observerships, electives, they're mostly, shadowing the doctors and the patients. They're not really speaking much. But when you go for research, you're interacting with, multiple staff members on day-to-day basis. And that really helps you to improve your communication skills. And I think communication skills are like, one of the biggest factors that they assess during the residency interview. And like that, then that is an opportunity where you can stand out among all the other applicants. And the other thing I would
100%.
like to add is when you are in US and you have already you are doing research and you have already secured a visa to come to US. So that's like an assurance to programs. Okay, this man, this person, they are already in US and they have gotten a visa. So most likely they are not going to have an issue in the future to get a visa. So that's like a guarantee to the programs, especially these days, where visa is like a big issue.
100%. That's good point. अहमद, आप कुछ ऐड करना चाह रहे थे, I think.
I was like just trying to add के जो मेरे लिए in person like a research experience, it's been like a mentorship growth experience, especially coming from a fresh like grad year. I wouldn't have like like had the opportunity अगर मुझे ये research fellowship ना होती तो I would have been a completely different person in term of a match application especially. तो मतलब आप जब like research fellowship पे होते हैं आपको culture feel होता है कि अच्छा residents के साथ आप interact करते हो, आप उनका perspective जानते हो, versus जब आप observership पे होते हो you just like are shadowing one physician. Over here you are like shadowing multiple persons, you are interacting with them, you are working with them, multiple attendings. So I think आपको जो culture है ना real culture feel होता है और आप फिर उसी के accordingly अपने आप को adopt करते हो और फिर उसी के accordingly आप applications में अपनी like चीज़ें add करते हो. I think that this is like a really helpful perspective too in
I
terms
think
of
that's very good. Let's move on to our point number 2. Since I think let's go to Suman. Suman, can you tell us कि research positions किस types की होती हैं ताकि जो सुन रहे हैं उनको पता चले और pros and cons उनके क्या हैं
Yes.
या if someone else. Sorry to put you
Yeah.
on the spot. I don't know if you
No,
want to
no,
go
no,
ahead and
that's
say that.
completely fine. Yes. Thank you so much for inviting today. But yeah, I think it's very important that whenever you plan to come to US for a research position, you're aware of the circumstances and what kind of positions you're gonna get into. So there can be paid research positions, unpaid. You can be recruited as a research associate, or then there are strict particular research positions as where you get recruited as like a postdoctoral research fellow. So it all depends on how availability of positions in terms of you have to like try to reach out to people who have grants available so that you can get into, let's suppose, a paid research position. But I know based on the current scenario, it sometimes does get hard to get a funded position. So there are unfunded positions available, but there are you have to be very strategic about it when you're applying. Let's suppose you secure an unfunded research position. If you show consistency, you're passionate, sometimes your PI would be willing to take you up for funding in the upcoming several months. So I guess if I briefly go back, so there could be like funded, unfunded, purely postdoctoral. You could be recruited as a research coordinator. But all in all, I guess whatever type of you could say position you get into, the most important thing is to show your consistency, your being passionate. That really helps you in keeping it moving forward. Um, uh, I hope I have answered some of the aspects, but anyone can chime in and add upon that.
I think we haven't gone to Farhan yet. Farhan, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I would just like to add a few things. By the way, Suman, she has summarized things in a great way. But there's just one thing that the upcoming students or the postdocs should also know, that there is also this clinical, translational, and the basic science research. So when you are choosing this position, do make sure that it aligns with your interest. Like I have seen some people who come into the basic science and then they do not like it because they are more accustomed to the clinical work. So always make sure, go to the website, read your PI work, and to know that what kind of work you will be doing in the lab. So this was just the one thing that I would like to.
Good. And we have some good questions in chat. One question is, what is the role of postdoc fellow on a day-to-day? So any one of you guys.
I can answer if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, so like if you ask me as a postdoc fellow, my roles are like at a different perspective. Like you have to manage like clinical trials, especially you have to screen patients who come into like different like orthopedic surgeons. We actually get referrals from a lot of orthopedic surgeons in IR. So we just like have to screen, me as myself, like I have to screen patients. They are coming in, like if there is someone eligible, I reach out to them, or else I reach out to scheduling manager and she reaches out to patients. I also like have to be there in like for the follow-up visits. Like if there is a patient coming in an office after like the procedure, like at 1 month follow-up, 3 months follow-up, so stuff like that. And also as a like research fellow, it's like not just about the trials management, like lot of trials, but also in terms of your own like research. I also try to work on like prospective, retrospective studies with my PI. We also reach out like to people who are willing to sponsor us. So I think interacting with the companies, and also like as a research fellow for my own like development, I reach out to like multiple people for collaboration. So I think it's like a as a your role, like what is required of me, it's only like the mostly the clinical trial related work. And like if there is any conference like in the working in the department, and you have to organize that, and you have to like collaborate with people over there. But I think it for your own growth, you can work a lot. Like you can work on multiple papers, review articles, whatever you want. And like also you can go like downstairs and observe procedures, like if there are any like trial related patients.
Uh,
Sure.
I would like to add, I just want to add one thing, and it's a question from all the panelists. So what I've, in my personal experience, people who reach out for research are usually those who have like some difficulty with the match process, and then they think about, okay, so this is my, plan to go into residency. So what do you guys think that upcoming students, they should go for research right away, or they should go for match and then see how things work out? This is
I
for
can
all the
go with
current
this one.
panelists. Yes, exactly.
I can go if that's okay.
Sure.
So I would say that, if like the best thing is as soon as you graduate from the med school, and if you find a position and if you can afford it, then, it would be best that you come here and start doing research. And the reason for that is even if you have a strong CV, like I can give you my example. I went unmatched in the first cycle, and I had really a good CV, like great scores, no red flags, very fresh year of graduation, but still I went unmatched. And then so the research is when you're doing research, it's like very unlikely that you would go unmatched. Like uh, when I look at the match rate for people who are doing research versus who are not doing research. Like the match rate is 50% for people who are not doing research. But I see like very few people who are doing research in US and then they go unmatched. And especially these days, because so many people are applying for match, it's going to become more and more competitive in future. And the match rate is even going to drop below 50%. So if you can secure a position and if you can afford it, then definitely consider coming to US and start doing research. And then you can start preparing for your US family alongside the research.
I think that's good. Would anyone like to add anything?
Yes, I would like to add one thing here.
Sure.
Sorry, is there anybody else who want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Okay.
go
you
ahead.
can go, Farhan.
Okay, sure. So what I want to add is that when you have worked with someone in US for 1 year, I think his word holds a great weight. Like if you have worked with someone on observership for a month, I mean, he can put in a good word for you, but it might not hold as much weight as your PI with whom you have worked for like 1 year. And also there are these alternate pathways with the research, like you can apply for the EB2 visa if you have a good research CV and good citations. You can apply for the EB2 pathway through which you can get a work permit, and it's kind of like getting the green card. So when you apply in the next session, by the way, it takes 2 years, but by that time you will have a work permit, so you will not need a visa either. So these are some advantages alongside the research. And definitely, if you have even worked in an unpaid position for a year, you can apply for the paid position next year if you do not match, and that's how you can support yourself financially in the US. So these were some other advantages that I just wanted to add.
I would
Very nicely said.
I would like to add two things. So one thing like about the type of research is also like, there are like, some labs like do outcomes research and some do like, basic science research, so like if you work in a basic science research, you're gonna be working like, for a year on one project, you're gonna be working like lab work, um, and so like at the end of the year, like I mean, at the end of that research fellowship, you won't have like that many publications to your name. So at the end of like, your research fellowship, you essentially want to have some like, something to show on your CV, like. So in my experience and what I've seen so far, like if you do go into like an outcomes research lab, you have way more papers to show, like more abstracts that you have presented at conferences, and that attract like that looks better on the CV. I mean, basic. It's not like I'm saying basic science research is not like good or like but it's just I'm talking about numbers because at the end of the day, people look into like the number of publications you have. That's just way easier for them to like judge you. And
It's a
then
very good point. Abdullah will come to this point.
okay,
Let's go in order. Let's talk about how to build a CV to apply for research, because not everyone can get research. तो क्या करना चाहिए? How to first build a CV, then we'll come to how to approach it or how to apply it. So we have an ask who hasn't spoken in a while. I think we'll go back to Suman.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
sorry if I'm
like,
missing someone.
um,
Please go ahead.
I think, yeah, I think one of the most important things which I've observed over the period of years that I've worked is having an additional skill that you can provide to the lab. So when you're applying to a research position, you're saying, I want to work with you. But it's very important. People here in US really care about what you are giving back to them. So just having I have seen people who apply to research positions. They said, oh, I have published 2 papers and I want to work with you. But what skill are you bringing to the plate for the lab? So I think one of the most important skill that you can work on or develop these days is having an understanding about biostatistics and coding. That's a really important skill that you can build up on in addition to learning about writing papers. I felt like that has helped me a lot in working in my research position. I have seen people who are like very adept in coding and biostatistics and all those skills. Um, it can really strengthen your CV. Once you have all those skills and you're applying to a research position, the PIs would consider you. Because the way things work in the US is like every lab needs a biostatistician. Just by learning coding, you won't be like a certified biostatistician, but you're providing those skills to the lab. So I think that's one of the most important things I consider if you are planning. And as everyone has mentioned, it's getting competitive day by day. Now, if we look at like 5 years before, very few people did research positions or research fellowships, लेकिन अब trend बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है. And if multiple people are applying, in order to stand out, you need to have those skills. So I consider that as a very crucial skill that every medical student or graduate should learn side by side if they plan to apply or if they are interested in research. And
So
just number
that's
two,
a
makes you really independent as well for your personal research as well. You are not dependent on someone else. Yeah.
very, very good point, Suman. But you have, so in addition to having some experience in research, you should have some unique skill, is what Suman is trying to say. Ahmed, आपका क्या ख्याल है?
मेरे ख्याल में skills are really important, like especially someone Pasi said, like biostatistician skills, but also I think if you are a med student, especially in KE, if you can go for electives like during your med school and like at a big institution like Cleveland or WashU or whatever, like through VSLO जा सकते हैं या नहीं, otherwise if you can go otherwise, I think that's a like must point these days, especially because if like let's say I did rotation at Washu and like those attendings I worked with them afterwards, I came back to Pakistan, I worked remotely with them or like few projects, and I think that was a like key point when I was discussing, like I was taking my interviews research fellowship mein, everyone asked me about my experience at Washu. So I think this is another point these days because almost everyone is doing electives, so I think if you can do electives that would really help you a lot.
Okay, good. Okay, Osama, can you tell something कि CV किस तरह टेलर करनी चाहिए research application के लिए? How to build a CV first?
So I would say most of the people in Pakistan, they're doing the clinical research. No one really does the basic science research because we don't have much opportunities for basic science.
Sure.
So like, first when you are in med school in third year, fourth year, you need to, figure out like what your passion is. For example, I can say my passion is cardiology. Then I would start working on cardiology related projects, from early on in third year, fourth year. So by the time I graduate, I would have like a few projects in cardiology that are published, and then that I can use as an evidence that I have some skills too, but I am genuinely interested in cardiology. And then especially if you have like a few first author or co-first author papers, that really show that you actually led that paper, and then you know the whole process of publishing the paper. Versus if you are just like a fourth, fifth author and like you just contributed to some writing, and then so that might not be that helpful.
Sure. Vikas, let's bring you in. आपका experience है, आप बताएं कि what does it really take? Because you are seeing things from both sides. As an applicant, and now you're doing research, and I don't know if you have a fellow with you, or if you had a fellow, who would you select out of hundreds of applications that you would get? Which application
So,
would stand out to you?
to give it a straight answer, if I have to choose an applicant, I would choose someone who already has experience in research. And
Exactly.
and the thing is that with the research, it's not just about getting the number of publications on your CV or just getting the number of this much abstract or papers on your CV. It's about working a good. It's building a good working relationship with your PI, because at the end of the day, eventually they are gonna be the one making phone calls for you, and during the research fellowship, it's I understand it's really important to have skills, and that's what's gonna make you stand out in front of other candidates to get selected for the position. But once you are in a research position or a research track, your work ethics, your communication skills, that's all that matters. And then when you go apply for positions for residency interviews, and most of these PIs, the program directors know them, right? And if they really like you, they directly just reach out to them and ask them, hey, what do you think about this guy? Should I take him or not? So I think overall, from having a good CV and having a good actual time during the research. It doesn't matter if it's basic bench research or is it clinical research. I did bench research for 1 year and it was worth it. And then this 1 year research also helped me getting into a cardiology fellowship. So, so I think we really need to work during that time and build your rapport with your peers.
आई थिंक वेरी गुड पॉइंट टू समराइज आई थिंक जो बात समझने की वो ये है कि इट इज़ नॉट लाइक कि पीआई आपको सिखाना नहीं चाहता या दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन टीचिंग बट रियलिस्टिकली स्पीकिंग दे हैव क्लिनिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ उनके पास इतना टाइम नहीं होता कि वो ABC से किसी को सिखाना शुरू करें तो इफ़ आई वाज सिलेक्टिंग समवन आई वुड मच रादर प्रेफर जिसका थोड़ा सा रिसर्च बैकग्राउंड हो जिसको मुझे ये समझाना ना पड़े कि एब्स्ट्रैक्ट क्या होता है कंक्लूजन कैसे लिखना है उसको थोड़ा पता हो और फिर देन दे कैन गाइड यू टीच यू मेंटोर यू तो दैट इज़ बेसिक थिंग तो आई थिंक जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है जो यंगर स्टूडेंट्स सुन रहे हैं इफ़ दे कैन गेट इन्वॉल्व आई थिंक आई होप देयर मोर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नाउ देन बैक इन द डे जब हम कर रहे थे तो डजेंट मैटर कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट है गेट इन्वॉल्व्ड गेट योर नेम आउट डजेंट मैटर 3 पेपर हों 2 पेपर्स हों लेकिन इफ दैट इज स्टिल बेटर देन ज़ीरो that tells the PI that yes, you're interested, you're driven, they like you, you have good scores, you're smart. At the same time, you know a thing or two about research, and then they can teach you the rest. All right, let's go to the point number 2 and before point number 5, the strategy to find a mentor or find a position. But before that, I would like to share an personal experience which was very humbling, but at the same time, really, really important. This is something that I want to tell everyone that how important these things are. I don't know if I can share my screen or not. Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this was me जब मैं थोड़े बाल सफ़ेद कम थे लेकिन 2013 आज से probably 13 years ago or 12 years ago or I employed this strategy and I emailed a lot of people and I don't want you to go through the whole response but this was Dr. Bhattacharya at Cleveland Clinic. He not only read my email, he also downloaded or read my CV. And in, I don't know, page 3 or whatever line, he mentioned that instead of full stop, it should be comma. All right. So I was thinking about this talk में क्योंकि these things are really important. हम समझते हैं कि यार no one cares. मेरा experience ये था कि I probably emailed close to 3,000 people. Almost 95% didn't respond. Probably 50, 60 or 70 people or 100 people, I don't recall, responded. Most of them were a no, but then 3 or 4 was a yes, let's get you in for an interview. But what is really important is when you're making a CV or when you're writing an email, please, please, please be very professional. आजकल जो टेक्स्ट जनरेशन है और व्हाट्सएप जनरेशन है email is not a WhatsApp message or your CV should be very very professional. Read it 10 times, make sure there's no mistake because imagine Bhattacharya was a good researcher, he was really busy, he still found out time not only to read my email, go through my CV, go to second or third page and find this mistake. What that tells is in his eyes, I don't know, he did not have a position, he did not end up offering me a position. He was kind enough to at least tell me this point because उनकी नज़र में ये होता है कि if you are bringing this CV and if you have not read your CV or proofread it, then you are not a serious enough guy that they want to have on the team. So with this, let's go to our esteemed panelist one more time and let's talk about what are the strategies.
I would like to add on, Furkan.
Sure.
This is a very good and very, very important point. Especially when you are emailing someone, your email should be professional and it should not have a lot of word jargon in it. It should be very precise to the point. And I get a lot of emails. I get like 100 of emails, and most of the time, if you have a lot of information, people are not going to read through it. So be very precise, be very professional, and to the point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, let's go a minute each or 2 minutes each. Let's start with Ahmed. Ahmed, what should start with a subject and then start with introduction. कि उसमें क्या होना चाहिए for anyone because a lot of people would not even open the email if your subject is not good.
आई थिंक रीच आउट करने के लिए लाइक ईमेल्स के अलावा लाइक आपको पहले ईमेल्स like किनको करना है ये भी important है. Like if you are emailing everyone and if you are not like targeting emails to PIs who are doing research, especially if कोई clinical side पे if someone is doing private practice and if you ask them for research fellowship, that's not gonna work. You start from a big institutions like Cleveland, Mayo, Harvard, and you like go through their hospital websites, especially because hospital website पे mostly there will be like clinical PIs, and वहाँ से जाके you can like go to their research profiles. You can like see like जिन जिन PIs ने like recent papers publish किए हैं कि नहीं किए. Let's say if someone has like recently published few papers, it shows that PI is currently doing research. And I think
We'll come to that.
okay,
Ahmed
sure.
will come to that. Abhi, let's
Yeah,
let's
sure.
stick with the strategy. We'll come to
Okay.
let's move once we have selected 3 positions, then we'll see कि कौन सी best है. Then we'll come to
Okay,
that.
sure.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Suman, please Wayne, आपके ख्याल से जो approach strategy है, whether that is email or direct, अहमद ने बताया कि go through the departments list. उसके अलावा और क्या करना चाहिए? How to structure an email, ideal email की length क्या होनी चाहिए और उसमें क्या information होनी चाहिए?
Yes, I think what you mentioned, first of all, your subject needs to be like very, matlab, it should be like precise yet slightly catchy as well, ताकि whoever is getting your email, like, and matlab is bound
Ends
to
up
click
opening
and
it.
open. There are like, if
Mhm.
I talk to my PI or my professor, they get like, and I guess you guys agree as well, they get like hundreds or maybe more than hundreds of emails every single day, people reaching out, okay, I want to do, if your, I don't know, subject is like research position or request for research position, I don't think it might stand out. Some things that have worked for me in the past, in addition to research position, I email generally people which I'm interested in talking about science and stuff like that. I try to keep my subject line very catchy. I don't know. There is
Give
just
us an
one
example.
example that worked out for me. I was talking to a Nobel laureate. I just structured my subject line as said, for the love of science, something like that. This might not be professional for a research position, but I'm just giving an example. Maybe my subject line was catchy enough that he opened my email and replied back to me. But coming back to the point of structuring the email itself, it needs to be very precise to the point, but yet it should show that you have looked into their work before. मतलब आपको पता है कि वो लैब किस चीज के बारे में है और वो पीआई कौन सी रिसर्च करता है. You don't have to like summarize their entire paper or something, but show के you know about them. It should be not so generic कि उनको पता चले कि इस बंदे ने like mass emails की थी 100 लोगों को और मुझे एक generic email आ गई है. And one more thing which I want to like point out based on like my PI's experience that he has been sharing with me these days, people are these days sending him emails written through AI or ChatGPT, right? And professors do not like that at all. I don't know if you guys need help in editing your email using AI, but I think it's very important to keep it like humanly precise. एक email लिखना is not that hard, so I would highly suggest कि at least email लिखने के लिए do not use ChatGPT and AI because it becomes very obvious. And then once the professor realizes कि ये AI generated email है, then they would say कि if this person is not good enough to write an email themselves, then why bother? And then one more experience I just want to share is like people while mass emailing do not even make sure कि वो किसको email भेज रहे हैं. I recently received an email saying, "Oh, dear professor, I'm interested in this research position." I do not offer research positions. I do not have a lab. So I think these are few things that everyone has to be very careful about when they are applying to, where they're applying to. And as I think Dr. Vakas mentioned as well, keep your email very precise, yet not generic. It should mention somewhere that you know about the research and you're passionately interested in working with them. So I
And
guess that's
one good example of being precise is कि instead of writing your research, but because that is where your resume comes in, उसमें आप you can put in your publications. But if you really need to, you can put in your PubMed IDs. That is very easy way to mention, yes, you have PubMed index publications, you have experience along with your basic introduction. So email should be 8 to 10 lines. I think most people would agree. बहुत लंबी ना हो. 1 to 2 line for introduction, 1 to 2 line for niceties and talking to the PI. And as someone has mentioned, अगर उनका कोई particular interest, and if you have interest or if you have luckily a publication or a project in those lines, so you can mention that. Also mention your research experience, mention that you're interested in research and you would be applying. अच्छा उसामा, आप ये बताएं कि उसमें फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डू यू एग्री डिसएग्री विद ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स, एंड सेकेंडली इसके अलावा क्या होना चाहिए? डू यू मेंशन हाउ मच टाइम यू आर विलिंग टू कमिट? व्हाट आर योर गोल्स इन योर email?
Yes, I totally agree with all the things discussed. And yeah, I think it's very important that you at least mention one line that you are willing to commit for like 1 year if you are actually willing to commit for 1 year. If you're like planning to do research for long term, maybe you're thinking about 2 years, then it's a good idea to mention that you are willing consider to be available for 2 years. It shows that you are willing to commit and like you will not just be in the lab for like 3 4 months and then you will leave because when you go to a new lab, like it takes you like 2 3 months to actually learn the things, and then you start actually producing something after those 2 3 months. So if you mention that you will be available for 1 or 2 years, that shows the commitment, and then it's more likely that they will reply you back and they will take you. And the other thing I would like to add is like a small thing, but just coming to attention to detail. You can attach your CV to the email, but I see many people, they would attach their CV and then they would attach the 3 USMLE reports to the email, and then they would attach their King Edward Medical University degree, and like the email is very cluttery. If
Yeah, I
you
know.
if you do that, nobody's gonna open your email. So email needs to be precise and just attach your CV. You can mention your PubMed or Google Scholar ID in the email, but you don't need to attach like tens of documents with it.
Agree.
And there's
Abdullah would.
and there's one thing I would like
Okay.
to just add on over here. So when you are reaching out to your PI, you need to be very honest with them. Like if you can commit time, not just for the sake
Exactly.
of getting a position, you say, "Hey, I'll be there available for 1 year." People don't really like it over here, like especially the dishonesty. And so I have seen people, students, they're reaching out to multiple people and they commit to one person and they commit to the other person as well. And then they go for the one which is better. So essentially, what you are doing, you're closing the door for your colleagues who are gonna join after you from your particular medical school. So they're gonna think of that these guys are not honest. So you need to be very, very honest. If you can do it 1 year, just say 1 year. If you can't do it, just simply say it. And if they want to keep you for 6 months, it's up to them.
Sure. Abdullah, you wanted to add something?
I mean, I think all the points are covered. Just want to add, like, a good time to reach out to people is like right around March, April ka time, because at that time
Good.
most of the people have like, already
People
IMGs,
who have matched and they're
yeah, they're
leaving,
gonna,
so they're
yeah,
openings.
that's a good time. And
That's
then
a very good point.
and yeah, I mean that's the highest, सबसे ज़्यादा opportunity इस time पे होती है. And then the other thing is like use Twitter. Twitter is like, a very good place to find mentors because people who are doing research, they like to, show it off.
Yeah.
It on Twitter. So like I found about my mentor like through Twitter. Like I like would stalk pretty much like every IMG who was doing like surgery, my research, or like was a resident in research. So you get to know where they did their research. So that's how you know, oh, this guy can help me get a research position and then also help me match. Not just get a position. So I think these 2 points I just want to add.
All right. Let's move on to the next point, which is networking, or how do we leverage the connections in order to get it? I think the point is, which is a very good, it seems like six of young Chemcolians are here. So we have a very established pathway to be friends with, not only be friends with, but seek guidance from them. And because they may know where they have a history of having an IMG who has excelled in their job, in their role. And that is a very good avenue. They'd more like to hire you because they know about your college, they know about uh, the reputation. So, all right, let's start with Farhan. Farhan, काफी देर से नहीं बोले.
Furkan, we have a
Um,
lot of So we have a lot of questions in the chat. Whenever you get after
I
this
think yeah,
question,
end pay.
just
I
go to
think
the
we will
chat.
try to let's conclude in next 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can take all the questions. Otherwise,
Yes.
continuity थोड़ी सी हमारी disturb हो रही थी because some of these questions will be answered, but जो रह जाएंगे we will answer them. तो Farhan, we want you to be brief.
Yeah, sure. So, well, when you are making your CV for the research and doing the publications, I would suggest to work with renowned mentors at that time because it will help you build connections with them. And when you're applying for a research position, mostly what happens in Harvard is that they ask you, like, do you have any reference? Is there someone that we can talk about you? So then you give them the emails of the people that you have worked with, and they email them or call them, and they directly ask them, like, hey, how was this guy? Is he a hardworking person or not? This is what happened with me. Like, my PI, he called all three of my mentors that I have worked with, and since they put in a good word for me, so initially my position, it was going to be an unpaid position. But after their support and after their word, my PI just gave me a partially paid position. So this is something that plays a huge role. And if you're planning on getting a research position, you should start working with well-known people from the start. Like whenever you're working on a project, make sure that you have a good person with you in that project that you can network with. So
100%.
yeah.
And one of the ways I would say, कि how do you that is more like once you have applied and successfully got few offers, how do you prioritize your offer? Obviously, your interest, like in the very important thing, and I think Abdullah, someone mentioned that कि you need to know quantity is also important. Quality is important, but you don't want to be because ultimate goal is to get into a residency or fellowship, which is competitive. So you do not have the luxury of time of spending 5 years on a bench project, which will get published in Nature, which is great, but you need some projects to prove that you have worked hard enough. So look for mentors, um, aged middle age between 45 to 65 is what I say. 80 years ke kuch seniors hain, they may be towards the end of their career and they may not be interested as much. Yes, they may have 2 3,000 publications, but if you look and do some research, a lot of their publications would be very old. In the last year, may have published only 10 papers, and which are mostly through connections. So see how many primary paper that PI has published in last 2 3 years. That will give you a fair idea that if you work with them for a year or two, how much you can publish or get your names on. Vikas or Hafiz, would you like to add anything to this?
Furkan, I have a question. I'm just curious. So, when people join a research fellowship, so they will get a letter about the research, right? But they also want to do some clinical work. They also want to get 1 or 2 letters from clinical. So, how should they approach? Should they approach in the same department to the clinical person, or should they take a couple of weeks off and go somewhere else and get the clinical rotation done to get the clinical letter? So, I don't know how to approach this.
Uh, I think we talk ultimately it depends. Hafiz, is a very good question. Ultimately, it depends upon a few factors, which residency or fellowship you are going for, how competitive it is, how much do you need to have clinical experience, whether or not you have clinical experience in the past in terms of electives or not. Let's say you do not have any clinical experience, but you would like to complement your research experience. One of the ways to do it, because which is our next point, is visa pathway, because you may or may not be allowed to have hands-on experience. So the way to kind of go around it is if you have, and I think Vikas or someone mentioned to have a very good relationship with a PI, a sort of a lifelong relationship with your PI as well. If your PI can in their letter of recommendation mention, जैसे अहमद ने कहा था कि that you were observing, uh, you were not only filling questionnaires from the patients firsthand, but you were observing some procedures or you were seeing them
Mhm.
before or after the procedure. That's one way of kind of alluding to that you have some clinical experience. Easy way would be your PI would be working with multiple of his colleagues in his hospital. So, and he would be very good friends with very few close colleagues because who are on the research project. So you can ask your PI that if you could go and talk to them and shadow them for some time. And most people would
Furkan,
be okay with that. Sorry,
Furkan,
go
I
ahead.
did the same thing which you just told. I asked my PI, I want to do some clinical, and then he asked one of his friends, and they just
Exactly.
let me go to their clinic and hospital rounds, and I was able to attend their rounds. So you just ask them, and so this is exactly
Exactly.
the point.
But there has to be a tact with that. So you first prioritize the work. You make sure you win the confidence that you're not going to compromise the research. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि you'll go clinical and their project will suffer, because ultimately they have grants, they are answerable, and they have to publish, they have to show, they have to justify their admin and research time. So
Sure.
they would like to have the confidence that if you go for the research, or if you go for the clinical, you will make up for that time and they would not lose. Then they'll go all the way. Remember, एक चीज जो अभी लगता है, अभी जो हमें लोग सुन रहे होंगे उन्हें लग रहा होगा कि शायद हमको बहुत accomplished है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You guys will be much better. Or if you work hard, people like to, I always say, people like to always bet on the winning horse. अगर मुझे ये लगे कि एक बच्चा है, उसने उसने मैच वैसे भी हो जाना है, लेकिन मेरे कॉल करने से वो अच्छी जगह मैच हो जाएगा, आई वुड लाइक टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दैट सक्सेस स्टोरी, और एनी वन वुड लाइक टू बी. So they people would help you. So don't think people would not help you, but you first have to prove yourself to be the winning horse.
Correct.
Let's
और और एग्जैक्टली यही हफीज, तुम्हारी बात में मैं ऐड करूंगा, एग्जैक्टली यही है कि आप यू कैन नॉट आस्क योर मेंटर राइट अवे, लाइक यू ज्वाइन रिसर्च आफ्टर 1 month यू आर आस्किंग these things. So you have to build a rapport with them. You have to show them you are committed to the research. Some people don't like bench research, and I was doing bench research, and it's kind of boring, to be honest. But if you are committed and if you are doing your job exactly the way you are supposed to do, then your mentors or your peers, they will vouch for you and they will help you out in
100%.
getting what's your ambition is.
One rookie question. Some people do text on LinkedIn and Twitter as well for the research position. Is it the right thing to do?
I would, but and that's personal opinion. I think maybe I'm old school. I think email is still the proper way to do it, because um, you can attach your resume, and then that's a good way to follow up. But on the same time, Twitter, I think I'm not much on LinkedIn, so I don't know. But Twitter में ये है कि a lot of professional societies have good presence on Twitter. So Twitter is a way to nudge them to open that email. You reach out to them, you contact them, you tell them that you have also emailed. But I think ultimately, email is your primary way, but definitely use all the ways that you have to get in touch with them.
One more question, sorry. This webinar is basically for the people who are in Pakistan. The people who are in USA, would you do some different strategy? For example, would you go to the department by, I know some people who are crazy. They will actually go into the department and ask that I want to meet this professor. Or they will go to the meeting, and the meeting is okay, but
Yeah.
would you recommend that?
I think meetings is a great way, and obviously all the panelists can win. Meetings to me, I think, is the best way. When I was applying personal story, that I had a curbside interview before the regular radiology interview at RSN in Chicago, because I was there in Chicago. I got the opportunity to meet them. So a lot of time when you're an IMG and they don't really interview IMGs, but if you're interested and if they have time between the meeting, obviously you have to be very tactful. Don't disturb their schedule, but try to politely ask to meet for 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes can easily turn into 15, 20 minutes if they like you, or that can easily turn into 1 minute meeting if they don't like you or they're busy, whatever. So meeting is always, I think, a very good idea. That also shows A, you are interested in their field and interested enough to go to a meeting and try to meet them. I think meeting is totally kosher. Obviously, be polite, be mindful of other people's time. ऐसा ना हो कि they're trying to get to session. Maybe they are a moderator, maybe they have to talk, or they're just interested in session and you're stopping them. Don't do that. Otherwise, meetings is always a very good place. Going, I think as long as you email and get an appointment, meeting in person is also fine. But door knocking, I don't know how. It depends on the day. Maybe it depends on the day and the mood. Maybe they will encourage, and maybe they will like, yeah, कौन आ गया.
बिल्कुल ठीक. So
Say
you won't recommend that.
मेरे एक्सपीरियंस में डोर नॉकिंग में, if you do it in a very polite and professional way, uh, out of 100%, 80% of the time it's going to work.
Yeah,
अच्छा.
yeah,
Yep.
that's
But
very
but
interesting.
when you reach out to a department, you don't go to like professor office directly. Hey, I want to do this. You just reach out to the secretaries. Hey, I'm in the city. I'm from Pakistan, and I'm really interested in his work. And if I would really appreciate if you can get me some time with him. And most of the time, it works. Most of the
So
time.
so so basically, you are making an appointment. So that's
Yeah.
I think that's
Especially,
a polite way and the professional
yeah,
way to do it.
especially like because most of these departments, they have their staff who are like handle their
100%.
work. So if you reach out to the staff, and you can reach out to their office directly. So if you reach out to staff, it usually works. And
And generally, I
especially
think
for the people,
someone,
especially for the
sorry, Vikas.
people, especially for the people who are doing electives and they're interested, I think this is the best time to reach out to people directly if you can do it in a polite and professional way.
100%. And I think someone mentioned the team because research team is big. You have secretaries, you have IRB coordinators, you have statisticians, you have research coordinators. So you work with a team, and also teamwork and the leadership skills are also important because you are working on the behalf of PI to lead the team. All right, quickly, let's talk about the visa pathways available for those applying from Pakistan. If you're not a US citizen, if you do not have a green card, what are the available options? Let's open the house. कौन कम बोला है आज? Farhan or Abdullah? Let's start with you guys.
Sure. So basically there are two pathways if you're applying from Pakistan. Either it's that you apply for J1 Scholar Research Visa from Pakistan and then come on that. And the second thing, I think there was this issue about whether how you should do the observerships and stuff. So there is another pathway, like you can come on B1, B2, do your observerships, and then you can transfer your visa from B1, B2 to J1 within the US. But it has some conditions, and there might be some extra amount that you had to pay to transfer the visa from B1, B2 to J1. So in past, there also used to be H1B visa for research. I know some of my friends who got that, but I think given the current situations, it's no longer an option. So it will either be J1 from Pakistan or conversion from B1, B2 to J1 while in US.
Good. Okay, Vikas and Abdullah, I have a question for you. Let's say कि मैं निकम्मा student था और I did not have any insight about the research. मुझे बिल्कुल कुछ पता नहीं था. मैंने कोई research नहीं की. I got an opportunity. I did an elective or an observership. Now, how do I convert that into a research experience so that I can be a research fellow or a comparative research fellow, and then potentially also circumvent some of the visa issues? This is a loaded question. If not, then I can answer.
I can start. So, I mean, like, if you're doing an observership, so or like elective, just
So basically, what I mean to say, Abdullah, what can you do in your observership that will help your research experience? What sort of research?
like you can ask to work remote, to start working on any project they're working on. But I think first you need to like be good if you're like doing an elective, do your job, like all that you're assigned to, like if you're presenting in rounds or whatever. And then on top of that, I'll ask them for any like research project they're working on. And then I would say like they're like grand rounds and M&Ms, to try attending them and like try to also like when you are there, rather than with the attending, you can also start, like reach out to the residents, because they're the ones who are doing most of the research. So I think that can work your way, like if you get in good terms with the resident, with someone, and then they can vouch for you for a research position at that place. And
Vikas,
yes, that's
Vikas, would you like to add anything?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
So the question is, if you not have any research experience and you got a clinical observership or clerkship, how do you convert that into your research experience, or how do you open the door from there onward?
So I will just give my personal example. I had no research experience. I'm talking about back in 2015 when I was preparing for USMLE. I came to USA. So I just emailed like a lot of people, and I got a response from one person, and he was kind enough to call me in for an interview. And I just told him straight, like I'm not very familiar with the research, but so it was basically a bench research, and he taught me everything from zero. So I was lucky enough. But in this time, like I'm talking about 10 years back, this time is very competitive. You're not gonna find too many nice people in this world. So I think if you are, I think if you are, if let's suppose if you are doing an observership in some hospital, And especially the person who will be able to guide you about it is your physician, whoever you're rotating with. You can ask them, like, do you know anyone who's actually doing research? Because when I was a fellow, and most of there are like multiple students, I introduced them to the relevant people, like who's actually doing research, and they get connected, and they had a really good opportunity to get into research after that.
No,
So
that's a
I
very
think these
good
are the two
point.
ways that you can do.
One little thing that I would like to add, कि there are few research that you can legally do without any visa repercussions. For example, you cannot work on trials or anything unless you have a visa. Most people would not let you do even observational studies because that is PHI, protected health information, so you're not allowed to do that. But most people that you work with, especially proceduralists, they will have an interesting case that you can just get a small case report or a case series, or you can even if they're not procedural, but they may have an idea about some review article that you can get published. So if you are doing an observership and you have no research experience but you would like to get started somewhere, even if one paper, that still tells you that you know more than nothing. So that's a good starting point. And then once you have built your CV that we initially talked about, then you're in a little bit better position to apply for a more prestigious research position at a prestigious institution. All right. I think let's come to our last point. I think we've already talked about how do we maximize our fellowship opportunities. Let's talk about few quick mistakes. And if you have personal experience like me, just share quickly in 30 seconds, everyone. Let's start with Vikas.
So the first thing is, like, this is a mistake that I made. So whenever you're emailing someone, just make sure you're addressing that person and you put his name and everything in that email. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Yes,
I
especially when you're
get
emailing so many
I
people.
I get these emails every other day, and I'm like, "Hey, Doctor John, I'm really interested in your work," and then they're
There you
addressed
go.
toward me. So be very mindful who are you sending that email to.
All right, Abdullah.
I mean, common mistake. One thing would be like people try to reach out to too many people. For example, when they're on a like doing a research position, I think the best thing is to have a really good, you know, relationship with your mentor. Like, prioritize that. Because he's the one who know he or she is the one who knows you the most, or you work closely with them. So like try to, build a good relationship with them rather than like reaching out to like too many people and losing them in the first place. I guess that.
And even if you have to, that's a very good point. And even if you have to reach to too many people, batch them. Do not send email to everyone at Cleveland Clinic at one day. So you don't want everyone to get the email on the same day. If you
Yeah.
don't have luck, maybe email 10, 20 people first. And then if you don't get lucky, then wait a day or 2 or 3 days or next week, then apply. So do it in small batches for every institution.
Mhm.
Hafiz and Osama, do you have a common mistake or something that we shouldn't do?
Furkan, I don't have any common mistake, but one more curious question. People are not getting research in medicine, and most of the applicants are in the internal medicine.
Yes.
Can they just join any research opportunity, whatever they get, ENT, IR, surgical oncology, and then they can apply for medicine, or it's a red flag?
I think yes, you would have. It's not a red flag in my opinion. I think something is better than nothing. ये मेरा personal perspective है. You need to have show that you are interested. Now, the only thing that you have to be very tactful कि जब when you go for internal medicine interview,
Mhm.
you would have you'll have to be tactful about navigating your interview, trying to prove that you are always interested in IM, and this was not a second thought because no one likes second thoughts. So I think that is the only thing. But still, once you start somewhere, because let's say you get a research in IR or orthopedic surgery or ENT, whatever. But then once you know research, towards the end, you can also write some papers about internal medicine on your own. So I think I would say take any opportunity that you get, learn something, and then you can always use that to your advantage. And you don't know actually what life has in. I never wanted to be a radiologist. I wanted to be a surgeon. I wasn't smart enough like some of Abdullah or some of the other colleagues. So into that, I realized okay, IR is a good mix. I can do this and that. Basically, I got opportunity for radiology. And looking back, I think that this was much better suited to my lifestyle. So you never know what's going to happen next. So I would say take any opportunity. Would
Thank you.
anyone disagree with that or?
I agree with you. I think if you have any opportunity available, you should take that. And at the end of the day, the thing that matters is not the research in that particular point. It's the skills and the rapport and the connections that you're going to build using that research. At the end of it, that's all that matters, not the topic of research. So I would take any opportunity available and be committed to it.
Osama and someone, कोई common mistake जो कि नहीं करनी चाहिए
Hmm.
या something
I
that you
would
guys
like
did or
to add one thing. A common mistake after you get the research position. मतलब everyone talked about कि पहले क्या किस चीज़ को avoid करना चाहिए. Once you get into the research position, do not take the opportunity for granted. To be as professional as you can, be committed, as I think it was mentioned before, because it's very important not only for yourself, but people coming after you. If you're not committed, you're not professional enough, you're not giving your best, you're closing doors for people who are coming after you, especially from your institution. So that's really important. There have been, yeah, it's just based on
instances, yes.
my experience that
Good
I've
and
seen.
bad,
So,
both. So basically, you
mhm.
are ambassador for your institution, not only yourself.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Um,
Yeah, one thing that I can add is
sure.
it's very important to be honest in your communication, especially during the interview. Like I can share an example when my PA told me he was interviewing someone from Pakistan, and my PA asked him, "Why do you want to come to my lab?" So that student said, "First, I'm interested in your research, and secondly, you are the only one who replied to me." And that my PA was so impressed that, oh, this guy is so honest, and he was so impressed he took that guy into the lab. So it's very important that you are honest in your communication. Honesty goes a long way, and if you ruin your impression, then obviously it's gonna make create difficulties
Sure.
for the other people too.
All right, Farhan, anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, just one thing, do not write long emails. Like nobody here has time to read them. So if you're writing an email, be as concise as you can be. Make sure that the important things are in bold. So whenever someone opens your CV, opens your email, he must be able to read all that within 1 minute. I mean, I have worked with my PI and he gets a lot of emails and he has a lot of other stuff too. So the max time that he can give to your email is 1 minute. So make sure that it's readable within that time, within that time frame.
Okay, Ahmed.
Yeah, I would like to add, like, especially like a lot of people, they make mistake in follow-up emails. Like, let's say if someone was busy and like, or else you interviewed at some place and you are waiting for their reply, just wait at least some, like, give them some time to review applications. Or if you are like, like if you send the email in the first place and you are waiting for their reply, just wait for them. Like, don't like, like spam their inboxes like with 4 or 5 emails and follow-up emails just everywhere. That's like a big mistake that.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. All right, let's go on to the question. Hafiz, do you have selected questions that we must take or?
We can start from the top and probably go to the bottom.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not pay much attention to those questions.
Okay, no, no worries. I think there's so many. I don't know if we can take all of these, but let's take some of them and we'll move in order, one person to answer. Let's start with senior most Vikas. So when in the research position or some position which are more valuable. The question is, okay, which opportunities, I think we have answered that, are more valuable in your resume. Both it depends on the amount of research that you were able to publish, and also it also depends on the PI and the institution. So I think that unless anyone agrees. Very good question. If the position is unpaid, how much should be your bank statement?
It depends on the institution. Each institution has their own policies. So I think their visa department, they can better guide you what should be the bank balance.
Yeah, generally, sorry, someone wanted to add something. Okay, generally it depends on, I think this is a portion that we probably skipped over a little bit. So it's a J1 research, or you can, So there are two ways. So there in J1 research, one is where they have to pay you or partially pay you. The other is where they don't have to pay you, but you basically essentially say it or lie it that you can support yourself, or your home institution or your government is supporting you, which is the case बहुत सारी Middle Eastern institutes में or European institute में they send them over here to do some research. And in order to do that, what they mention is that your institution or country says few things and your bank statement corroborates that, which back in the day was you should have close to, so the average, the minimal expenses is about 2000, and I'm talking about back in 2015 जब मैं कर रहा था. So there was a number that stuck in. So you should have a bank statement of about um, I think it was 12,000 or 24,000, 6 months or 1 year equal to your expenses should be your bank statement.
I
So
would like to add to this if you like don't mind.
sure, Ahmed.
Yeah, so actually it's like NIH like stipend salary, like for postdoc positions, especially I'm only talking about that. So like
Mhm.
let's say in Boston, like it depends on the state too, honestly, like how much is like that state, minimal requirement. So I think in the Boston, if you like at Brigham, they would ask like if they are sponsoring you, let's say for 20,000, like the hospital is giving you 20,000 stipend annually. So you have to complete minimum of 71,000. So like the 50,000 you have to show from an organization. Like I think like a lot of institutions these days they don't rely on bank statements. They ask you to get you sponsored
Exactly.
to an organization. So I think it depends क्या organization कौन सी है, private organization, hospitals, stuff like that. So 50,000 you will have to show, or if you are totally unpaid you would have to show at least $70,000.
Okay. Let's take a few more questions, and I think we are out of time. We have to finish. If we talked about approach, how to search for researchers that have grants. All right, Ahmed or Abdullah or someone, anyone wants to answer?
I think I can answer that too.
Okay,
Like,
go ahead.
yeah. So you can look up on like clinicaltrials.gov. They are like if they are actively enrolling patients, and there are like multiple, especially you talked about on Twitter, like a lot of PIs are there. You can reach out to them, especially like emailing is like it doesn't hurt to email a PI, ask them if they are, like if they have a grant, or especially on the website, hospital websites, it clearly mentions they have a grant. Like even if you go to Mass General Brigham or if you go to Stanford, you could like quickly see it takes roughly 1 minute to see if they have a grant or not.
Sure. All right. The question is, should we do steps first or research first? Someone काफी देर से नहीं बोली.
I think it's step exams are not a requirement to get a research position, but if you are done with at least one step exam, it shows your commitment to the pathway. But the sooner you do them, the better it is for you. Based on my experience, what I've seen is if you're done with your exams and then come for a research position, you can fully commit your time, give your 100% and focus on that. But if you think you're a person who can like multitask, it's fine if you just give step one, try to find a research position, come to the US, and then study for your step two exam, do your research work, and then apply for the match. So it varies from person to person. You have to like assess yourself. Okay, can I do it? ऐसा ना हो कि you come to the US for research position, आप आपकी research position इतनी demanding है, you have so much work to do that you somehow your step exams suffer. So you have to like keep that thing in mind. Okay, your scores are important for you as well. You have great research, lekin somehow you don't end up doing well on your exams. So that could be like not good. So keep those things in mind. So it's not a requirement, but it's important to at least skip step one before coming to the US so that things are easier for you down the path.
Sure. A personal question for Ahmed, someone is asking, is how much do you think Python and coding skills can help in getting you a postdoc position in radiology, neurosurgery, and neurology?
I think for radiology, it helps definitely, especially if you're working with language learning models. It depends on your PI, honestly. If your PI is research lab has a like some project related to AI or language learning models, it definitely helps a lot. Like they would be looking specially, but I think it's not a like 100% requirement. But I think Python, especially, you should learn like at least a basics, because AI, you can code with Claude AI, but you should be able to like interpret the code. So if you have a basic understanding of Python, that really helps.
I would like to add something here. So, a lot of people have these questions like how much statistics should they know? So I think to begin with, you should know like, the basic like chi-square, like or t-test, and then do at least be able to do like regression analysis or what like logistic regression analysis or like, Kaplan-Meier survival curves. If you kind of know these, a lot of research, just, if you're able to do regression analysis, I think you can do one paper like papers out of that. So at least learn those research skills, and then obviously learning to, if you know like any coding in any like language, that's a plus, especially to make figures and stuff.
Um, Hafiz, what do you think? Yeah, I think we are out of time, and there's so many questions. Some are
Absolutely.
related, some are
No problem. Furkan, do you think
more
it's
on
a
the
good
visa side.
idea? We can make a WhatsApp group.
Sure,
And on the YPC KEMCAANA page, we can make a WhatsApp group. If somebody has any questions, we all can answer those questions on the WhatsApp group for maybe a few
sure,
months.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
totally fine. Um,
Everybody okay with it?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
and thank you very much. बहुत खुशी हुई है to see all those younger people doing the research और इतनी अच्छी institutions पे are doing great work. You guys are much ahead of me and us, our times, so it is always very good to see.
Absolutely. Dr. Fateh Shahzad is there. Dr. Fateh Shahzad, would you like to add anything, or should we should just call it a day?
जी बिल्कुल अस्सलाम वालेकुम to everybody and appreciate you all doing this very important and very informative program. Few things about the visa issues some of you talked about. These days it's getting more and more difficult to get visa, especially J1, even for residency and research. So uh, one of the ties you have is your PMDC license. So I always recommend, and I will recommend again, that for the visa purpose, at least try to do your house job and get PMDC license, because nowadays they're kind of refusing visas to students for electives because, of course, they don't have PMDC license, and some observership visa B1 has been refused because of the same reason. So PMDC license is very important these days for visa purpose. Second thing, which Dr. Zara mentioned, it's very important that if you commit to your program in research, make sure that you do your best and have all other interpersonal skills and hygiene and everything, because as she said, you are not only doing for yourself, but you are making a path for other Cambodians or even other Pakistani research scholars. If you perform poor, or if you have poor interpersonal skills, poor hygiene, you are not going to hurt yourself, but others who are coming to that program from Pakistan. Other few things that when you apply, when you send email for a research position, just be specific where you are sending. I get emails. I usually deal with the visa related issue. I'm not in academics. I'm not in a university. So just look at people who are you sending emails to, that whether they are even in academics, whether they are doing research. Just don't send randomly. Don't send to retired people. Don't send to people who are doing their own residency. They can't get you research. So be specific and do some homework and know about their program, like what do they research on, what they're good, who is being a very famous person from that program, from that hospital, from that medical school. So that's helpful, because the person who's going to interview you, that will be impressed that you know about that program and about that research or that person who is interviewing you. Uh, KEMCAANA is always there to help you financially as well as guide you with webinars, as well as help with the visa. These days, visa is becoming an issue, so I'm always there for you all whenever you need my help. Just be a little bit patient when you contact anybody. Um, as somebody else mentioned, be brief. I get messages like voice note for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Nobody's going to hear that. And then if I don't answer back, I get one question mark. If I don't answer back in the next 10 minutes, I get two, three question marks. So just be patient. I might not be that busy as you guys are, but there are other people who might be busier. So be patient. Thank you very much. Again appreciate YPC as well as all the panelists today. You all did wonderful program. I actually learned a lot from you guys today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One last thing before I will let Dr. Hafizul Hassan conclude. Someone is asking if they do not have any research experience, what do they do? I would like to mention Dr. Zishan Bhatt Ali Madiha Hashmi. There are resources at Mayo or in Lahore. These are Chemcolians. Zishan Bhatt knows a lot about research. I don't know how busy he is, but I know that for a fact that he has a lot of passion for research, and he is fortunately in Lahore for Lahori peoples or Chemcolians. You can go meet him, talk to him, tell him my name, and then at least get ideas or get started with how to do research as a first year, second year, third year medical student, so that when come times to apply, you are in a much better position. All
Absolutely.
right.
And there's a Research
So
Council of Pakistan as well, RCOP. They help you online to learn the research, do the research with them. Take any opportunity. Doesn't matter where is it from, which medical college is it from. Take the opportunity and learn from it. Thank you very much again, Dr. Fateh Shadad. Thank you very much for Khan for arranging this. I know you were very, very busy. And then Abdullah, you are on call. Ahmad Hussain, thank you so much. You were in a conference in New York as well. For Naeem, thank you so much, man. Suman Zara, thank you so much again for your coming. And Usama, thank you for your time during internship. And Vikas, if that's okay. I mean, you're not that busy anyway. So, all right.
All right,
Thank you.
guys, have a good day.
All right. Thank you so
Allah
much.
thank you,
Hafiz.
everyone. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.